Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. Okay, this isn't going to be a fun video. I'm going to kind of share some of my thoughts that I don't share with a whole lot of people. And a lot of it has to do with, this is Veterans Day. 2016. Earlier this week, we had election. The election changed my life. Now, it's not over. When you see my videos, you realize this is a beginning. And I'm not saying things are good. I'm not saying things are bad. But I'm going to tell you the way I see things. Our separation from Britain started with the idea of individuals being independent. Not everybody shared that idea. As a matter of fact, only 3, maybe 4% thought that that would be a good idea. And then these Americans, not all of them were into guns. A lot of them were city folk. A lot of them were politicians. They were businessmen. They were farmers. They were workers. But they all visualized one thing. And that's, with independence, with individual freedoms, there's no limit on what we could do. They petitioned Britain, let them know their ideas. And Britain decided that they had a good colony here, and they weren't going to give it up. And then that 3 or 4% did everything they could do in the way of petition, protest, and talk. And it came to the point where Britain decided our talk might get out of hand. So they thought maybe we needed to, as Americans, give up our firearms. I'm sure they were just thinking the city folk. What did city folk need firearms for? We had cities back then. They didn't need firearms. So then they decided, well, first they did lots of rules, regulations, laws that we as Americans had to obey from someone across the ocean. We had to pay taxes to them so they could conquer more of the world. It got to the point where he ended up rioting. And to shut down the rioting, they brought their troops. Well, like I say, not everybody had firearms because they're city folk. But they managed to come together. And not only demand Britain leave them alone, but they ended up chasing them out. With nothing but firearms and their will, they made history. The whole world has changed since the United States became the United States. Like it or not, there was change. Britain didn't like it. A lot of the colonials didn't like it either. They didn't have Britain protecting them. They didn't have the Britons. They weren't on the British welfare anymore. We couldn't ask for help. We had to stand alone. We had to take personal responsibility. These were strong individuals that came together and made the United States. Now, what that means is people had to stand up. Some had to fight, literally fight. Kind of like now. And that's why I'm saying we celebrate Veterans Day for those that literally fought. But there's a whole lot more to being a veteran than just going to war. Veterans don't stop being a veteran when the bullets stop. And being close to veterans, you learn what it's like. You learn veterans have been changed. They lose their life. And they have to deal with stuff. Now, I had someone made a comment and he thanked me for my service. And I get this all the time, but it caught me today. It wasn't that I'm the veteran. My wife was killed 4 years ago. She had to deal with me 41 years, starting when I was 22. So neither one of us knew what we were getting into. She had to go way out of her way to be understanding and to help me become who I am today. It wasn't easy. She kept me focused on other people. She wouldn't let me feel sorry for myself. I knew I was different. And when I was young, we first got married, I tried to be like everyone else. But you can't once you're a veteran, especially a combat veteran. You see things differently. Now, when I went to Vietnam, I fought for others. The idea was, when you're living in the jungle for 13 months, others take second place to taking care of yourself. And like I said, my wife had to teach me, it's others I need to be concerned about. She did a good job. Now, since I lost her, I've had to reevaluate my life. You know, you see someone you can hold their hand in the future. When I lost that, my future changed. And I say, I left the U.S. 14 years ago. I think probably around 14 years ago. And the reason was, I couldn't put up with the taxes, laws, and regulations. Through my time being back from Vietnam, it has seemed like the United States has been spiraling downward ever since. I, for one, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, has had a bellyful of all the corruption and craziness going on, not only in our government, but in our country.